Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I would like to show you how you can go from zero to LoRaWAN application for SOS use cases, starting with LoRaWAN Gateway, LoRaWAN device, Datacake platform, and everything I'm going to show you now works on the free plan of Datacake. So we are going to use a LoRaWAN Gateway like this one here from Rec Wireless. And for those of you who are not really into LoRaWAN or what LoRaWAN is, this is a LoRaWAN gateway, very similar to a Wi-Fi router that you all know or have at home, for example. It has Wi-Fi, Ethernet port, and optionally cellular. It attaches to the local network or to cellular network and builds up a local LoRaWAN network that you can use for sensors, such as this one here. It's not just a sensor, it's also a button. This is called the SOS button from the company IoThings, and this can be used to create SOS use cases. If you are new to Datacake, what you need to do is sign up or create an account on our platform. It's totally free, does not require any setting up of billing or whatever. I've done this already, and if you sign up on Datacake, this brings you to an empty account. Looks pretty similar to this one here. On our sidebar, you find the navigation for the various kinds of elements, and because we want to integrate our LoRaWAN network to build up a local network, LoRaWAN network, you need to head over to the gateway section on the sidebar. As you can see, also here, no gateways are in here, so we are going to add this particular gateway now to the Datacake platform. As mentioned before, LoRaWAN gateways are quite similar to Wi-Fi routers. This gateway has been added to my local Ethernet network here, cable network in the office, and I now need to access the management interface by typing in the IP address. If you have your own gateway, your LoRaWAN gateway, you need to integrate it into your local network using Ethernet or Wi-Fi, and then you need to access the management interface, typically using or typing in the IP address of that device. When you start, especially with the WSGate, when you start from scratch, you're required to set up a password. In the case for the WSGate, it asks me a couple of questions. So first of all, the country I'm located in. This is because of every country has different kinds of LoRaWAN frequency spectrums and things like that. And so I need to define the European region in here. I confirm my input, and now I'm all set. So the first thing we need to do is connect the gateway to the Datacake platform. There's a button that tells you see how it works. If you click on that, you get into the documentation where everything is explained once more. But all we need to do is click on that blue button here, which is at LoRaWAN Gateway. First of all, you need to type in a name. So this is my first LoRa Gateway. Now we need to provide the gateway UI and the frequency. We can go directly to the frequency, which is Europe, and the gateway UI is actually a unique identifier that helps Datacake to find your gateway. Usually the gateway UI is something that you can find in the settings of your gateway, sometimes on the backside of the gateway on a sticker or inside of the documentation of your gateway. For the WSGate, we find the gateway UI on the overall overview of that device. Now on the overview page in the management platform of the WSGate, you see the EUI in here, and there is a copy button. Clicking on that, we can go back into Datacake and paste the EUI into this field here. This now will help Datacake to identify your gateway. Click on Create Gateway, and the gateway has been added to Datacake. Now, this setup modal shows you some details like the type of protocol that we're using, the gateway server address, the port, and so on. So now we need to enter these settings on your LoRaWAN gateway so that the LoRaWAN gateway knows where to send the data to. Let's go back into the management. And the steps and also these settings are equal for all LoRaWAN gateways that you would like to add. It's not specifically for this gateway. The concept of gateway UI server address is the same. So on the WSGate, we are accessing the configuration using the sidebar here. The WSGate has a couple of different modes, and what we want to do is we want to forward the packet What we want to do is we want to forward the packets, and because of that, we are selecting the packet forwarder option. Everything else is already set, like the frequency plan. You don't need to set anything like this here. And then we also need to go to the protocols. And right now the server address is set to a default server address. And in here, we need to replace the server address by the server address from the Datacake LNS. Simply doing this by pasting the address. The server port is fine because it's set already to 1700. All the other things are just like they are. We leave everything like it is. And what we want to do now is save the changes and wait for the device to reboot or connect with the Datacake LNS. But let's go back to the Datacake LNS meanwhile. We can click on View Gateway now to see our gateway. And we can see, okay, it is still offline, it has not been seen. This takes about a couple of minutes because Datacake needs to actually wait for the gateway and pull the status manually. Now that the gateway has been added to Datacake, let's continue with our actual application, which is adding our first SOS LoRaWAN device. Okay, let's go into the devices section. And here it's the same concept. You have a blue button on this side, on the right side, and this allows you to add devices to Datacake. This opens up a new modal and you see quite some integration options, but we want to select LoRaWAN. It's also pre-selected. Okay, that's fine. Click on Next, and this brings us into the template section. So what we provide is templates for various kinds of LoRaWAN devices and manufacturers. And in here, I'm going to search for the IO button, which is exactly this SOS device here. Okay, we're going to select this, click on Next, and this asks us now, and this is asking us now what kind of network server we want to use. We have support for third-party network servers, but because we integrated the gateway to Datacake in our workspace, we can select the Datacake LNS because this makes sure you only need to enter things on Datacake and not go to any third-party service. Okay, select Datacake LNS, click on Next, and this will ask you a couple of details. So now a LoRaWAN sensor comes with a serial number, a key, and an app ID. And these three numbers are usually printed on the back side of the device or on the packaging, or sometimes manufacturers provide an application that you can use to scan an NFC code and then see the details on your smartphone. In this case, I copied the dev EUI and app EUI already, and I'm going to paste them now. First of all, the dev EUI. Then I need to place a name, call this my SOS button. The app EUI for identifying the actual application, and the application key. I copied these informations before into my clipboard, so making the video a little bit more easy to record. Now we also need to select the frequency. Right now the Datacake LNS supports two different kinds of frequencies, and then also a device class. There's two classes or three classes in LoRaWAN, but just to explain this very quickly, class A is for battery operated, you can say, and class C is for devices that are continuously powered on to receive commands all of the time. This is battery operated, so we are selecting class number A. Location, my office, for example. We can also use tags for grouping devices, but more on that later. Now you click on Next, and you're required to select a plan. As mentioned before, we support 5 devices. Did I mention it? Not sure, but we support 5 devices for free. You can scale individually by self-service or pay-as-you-go, and we also have organization plans for larger scale deployments. Now I'm going to stick with the free plan, add this device, and this device has now been added to my workspace. If I click on that device, you can see that this is also coming with a preset, no data yet because it's not connected. And as you can see on the image, it looks quite similar to how the actual button looks. Now let's connect it by pressing on this button and initiating the connection sequence to the platform. You can see it's trying to connect to the platform. And there you go. You can see that the data has arrived on the platform. So we basically set up this SOS application very quickly and fast by just entering by just adding the gateway. By the way, it now is also showing as online and connected, and also by adding the SOS button through the template to Datacake. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do to add your LoRaWAN devices to the platform, and now you can work on extra functionality. One of the core elements for our platform is, for example, also the notification or alerting. Because if you want to deploy an SOS use case, you probably also want to send, I'm very sure you want to send notifications and email alerts and things like that. And we have two options for this: the free rules and the paid extra for Rule Engine, which is super useful if you have deployments of hundreds of devices. Let's start with the free rules because that's more easy to use with a single device. You can click on Add Rule, and in here we give a name like SOS Detected Notification. We are going to select the SOS button device. The field is the button click reason, and we are checking if that is equal to single. There's more options like single press, double press, and so on. And then we want to send an email, for example, to, this is my personal email address. Feel free to write me an email. SOS detected, handle now, for example. You can also use placeholders to input some measurement values, not super useful in this case. And you can also use different kinds of options, like, for example, sending SMS. There's no SMS credits yet, or calling a webhook. And webhook we could use to connect third-party services. For example, we could use make.com to send this into a tool for SOS management or whatever. Not going to cover this in this video because that should just show, because this video should just show how easy it is to connect your SOS devices. And I'm going to create that rule. And if I'm clicking now on this SOS button once more, let's also see how it looks on the state. Okay, we can see 2 seconds ago somebody was calling a single action. And if I take a look now in my email inbox, not sure if you can read it, but basically the notification has arrived on my smartphone. You can use that to create notification schemes for different kinds of use cases. Next, on the template, you can also see some informations like total clicks, total SOS clicks per day, per week, per month, for some statistics or evaluation later on after a year that you have collected the data. Now you probably want to add multiple SOS buttons. You can basically do this by adding new devices. Choosing LoRaWAN again, and then instead of selecting the device from a template, you can click on existing product and then click the actual product that is already on your workspace, because all the settings that you have done for this kind of device are valid for this product. And then you can basically just go ahead and add multiple devices using the same sequence as we've just added the single device before. The reason for that, or why I'm showing you this is because I said that we have two different kinds of options for rules, and we have an advanced rule engine. I'm just going to talk about this here because it makes more sense for larger scale deployments. The concept is similar. You can add a rule, and we can call this SOS notification, but the first thing that you need to do is you need to select the product which holds all the devices. So now if you would add hundreds of SOS buttons to that single product, they would all show up here. And this means that instead of creating hundreds of rules because of one rule for a device, you only need to select or create a single rule. And this monitors all of your SOS buttons. Next, there's also options for different kinds of triggers. You can also monitor if a device goes online or offline. Very helpful for SOS buttons because they send a keep alive message on a regular interval. And if that doesn't arrive at the Datacake platform, you can get a notification like, hey, there's something wrong with your SOS button. But we want to trigger on the new measurement. So on an SOS click, we can define the condition again. And in here we can set the button click reason, operation equals comparison value, the string value, and it was single, add the condition. And The actions are a bit more powerful than on the free rules, but again, email, SMS, webhook, downlinks to control other devices like signal lights to flash or blink, and alert notification on a light. Again, just going through this very quickly because you can create an email and you probably are asking yourself, okay, if there's just one rule for thousands of devices, how do I find out which kind of device is sending that email? And for this, we have some template variables in here, like triggering device name. So if you would set the name of the device to the location of the SOS, to the location where the SOS button is placed, you can use the triggering names actually here. And then you can also add multiple receivers as before. There's some more options on the triggering device. We have the name, location, tags, online status, last heard, battery level, ID, and things like that. All just to make the designer of the email more powerful, and you would create one email template for thousands of devices. And you could then basically also create different kinds of rules for measurements. So somebody activates the SOS button if the device goes offline or online. And last but not least, as mentioned before, you can also group devices by tags. And this means right now we don't have any tags, but if you would add multiple devices to the platform, you would be able to group them by tags. Or you could, for example, use tags for receiving groups, advanced topics, but basically this allows you for work shift or monitoring shifts and to manage these different kinds of shifts. And probably you also want to connect a third-party system like an SOS management platform or your internal tools. And we are also allowing this by using a webhook. And a webhook basically allows you to set up webhook URL and then provide a custom header and the payload that you want to send over this to a third-party tool. And I'm going to show you a few examples in the next video. I'm going to save this advanced rule as well, back to our SOS button device. And yeah, there's also a clear button. So now the SOS has been reset successfully, and you could create a rule for this as well, that now everything is back normal. And you would get notified and also have the option to log the actual events. That's it for now. That's from scratch how you can add a gateway, any LoRaWAN gateway that's available out there, any LoRaWAN sensor, specifically in this case an SOS button from IoThings, the IO button, and how you can use Datacake on the free platform. And everything I've showed you except for the advanced rules is available on the free plans. So please check it out and let us know. If you need some help, reach out to us. We do have a support chat available here. That's it. Thanks for watching and stay tuned.